Oh my god, Pugna's bought one too and not caught it. Oh my god, guys, look
I
at this
know.
observer ward. This is the little observer ward that could. This thing is a god, man. No one's killing this motherfucker. He sees all. And you can't see him. It's beautiful. That is the most beautiful observer ward I've ever seen. Okay, tell me about this game.
Okay, so so really what I want you to focus on. So the how this game went is I was in lane, I was laning with Pugna. I feel like we did all right in lane. I think some of the other lanes didn't go quite as good. We ended up having somebody on the other team abandon fairly early, and we ended up playing part of it out. So what I'm asking for here is like to focus in on like the laning phase, because there are a couple of things. Like, first of all, I want to know, um, just give me some sort of uh, suggestions for like where I should have been positioning, when, if I missed things where we should have gone on the other hero, or just sort of efficiency things there. Also, there was one question, they blocked one of the camps and I tried to find the ward. I could not find it. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious if you can help me kind of figure out like how I should have sentryed to try and be able to find that blocked ward, because neither of us could pull.
Okay.
We were laning, we were dire laning in the bottom lane.
And you were laning
So
against, you said Shadow Demon and Chaos Knight?
yes.
Okay, so if we look at so it's how to play the lane better and like how to secure the camp, right?
Yep. And it's really I mean, if you want to just watch it up until probably like, I don't know, 12 minutes, 15 minutes, not even, because I mean, it kind of falls. A lot of other things go wrong
Mm-hmm.
that we don't have to talk about. But yeah, if you could just help me with the lane, that would be great.
Okay. Do you remember what time they disconnected the other players?
No, but if you look, it was Storm Spirit.
Storm Spirit, because
So
so one thing, because it does matter, because what happens is the passive so here it is. The passive gold when you disconnect or you abandon whatever goes to the other team, goes to your other teammates.
right.
So you can see how here, like Storm Spirit, he disconnects around like 25 minutes, so his net worth flatlines here.
Right.
That means everybody who isn't disconnected starts getting his passive gold.
That's you.
Right? Or it's roughly how it works. Basically, everyone else is going to make more money because they're on a smaller team. It's not enough to really offset it, but it's like that happens too. So I was asking because if that happened in like the first 2 minutes, then that would affect these stats here, which would skew the stats. So, but these stats are fine, so we can look at it. So we can see CK is slightly ahead of you in net worth, and you were saying that you and Pugna were sharing the farm, right? Pugna said, let's share the farm?
Yes.
Okay. So, and what bracket are you again?
Herald.
Right.
Yeah,
so people
unranked.
people will do this thing in Herald because they don't understand the difference between supports and cores, and
right.
They also don't really understand the difference of like item timings or how important it is that certain heroes actually get their items, right? That's why they'll flame the support if the support is fucking, like farming for 2 seconds. They're like, what are you doing? And it's like the support literally doesn't have boots yet and it's 9 minutes into the game. It's like, no, I need money too. But in this case, if you're the position 3 and he's the position 4, he should be giving you almost all of the farm. At most, I would say it would be a 25-75 split because he's trying to secure the range creep. Other than that, like, it really should be as many last hits are going to you as possible. And that's even more important on a hero like Bristleback, because Bristleback is, like we were talking about, like a very qualitative hero. He's a very quantitative hero, not a qualitative hero. So he doesn't have, a Tidehunter Ravage or a Mars Arena or an Enigma Black Hole, right? He doesn't have an ability that is just good and just does things as long as you can cast it. He's all about stats and how long he can stay in the fight, and how long he can stay in the fight determines how much damage he can do and how much he can help his team by taking damage and doing damage and being in the way and all that stuff, right? It's all about stats. And the way you get stats is with gold. So he doesn't
Right.
just have like, guys, I got Vanguard, I'm good to go for the rest of the game. It's not like, you know,
No,
like
I
Enigma
fully.
where he's like, okay, I got Blink Dagger, I can Black Hole. Okay, they got a stun. Okay, I got BKB. Okay, I'm good. Like Enigma could theoretically just stop farming at that point and he could still win the game. It's nice if he can get more items for like cooldown reduction and refreshing and stuff like that, but like really, he's there to Black Hole. You don't need Enigma to tank up. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right. You just need him to not die and be in the place where you want.
Right, because his ability is qualitative. If he's stunning the whole team doesn't kill him, right? It doesn't matter what his stats are really outside of like blade mail and radiance like damaging him during that time. Whereas you, the only way you're going to do damage is effectively by taking damage at the same time because you're all like melee range, right? It's just going to happen. So you have to tank up. So I'd say
Yeah,
your
so I
build
did.
is fine, right? It's,
Yeah, I did.
you know,
And you'll see when you see it, I did. I got the um the gloves at the beginning, like way at the beginning with the and then I actually got my boots first. Like
mhm.
I got my brown boots first.
Okay.
Then I actually went with treads, I think.
Right. So I'd say this is the first thing, right? So unless you're in a lane where movement speed is very important, um, you do not need to rush boots. You need to be rushing your Vanguard.
Okay.
If it's really hard, you don't rush the Vanguard. Maybe you get some bracers first. Like if you're having trouble last hitting and you need a little bit of regen, you go for some bracers. If you're
Okay.
okay on last hitting and you need a lot of regen, you try and save for Ring of Health as fast as possible. So like ideally, you're getting a Ring of Health at like 5 to 7 minutes.
Okay.
That's when a Ring of Health should be popping out.
Okay.
And you only need boots in God. It's hard to think of examples where you would need boots, but like typically boots are good against like Pudge or maybe Ursa or maybe like Juggernaut. If they don't have a stun or a slow, then you might need boots because it's all about staying away from people to not die.
Right.
But in your case, you're the offlaner, so your priority should be like, well, not dying, but also how do I kill them? And if boots aren't directly helping you kill them, then it's or helping you get last hits or stay alive to stay in the lane longer, then it's like upgrading your magic stick to a magic wand when you have no charges on the stick.
Right.
You're just
Doesn't
wasting
make a
your
lot of
money,
sense.
right? You would have been better off spending the money on something else that would have accelerated everything else. And in this case, boots probably won't do that because this is effectively a double stun lane. If one
Well,
stun
but
lands on you, the other stun's going to land on you. You're not going to dodge it with move speed. Does that make sense?
yeah, it makes perfect sense. The reason or the thing that I found in the boots, why it actually wasn't, I mean, it may not be as efficient, but it worked all right, is because you notice that Shadow Demon and Chaos Knight both got boots around the same time,
Mm-hmm.
and I could chase them down because what I muscled that in some cases, I was actually muscling them in lane,
Okay.
which because my quill spray, I could run them down and quill spray them and then run away.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so I was kind of trying to use my move speed more a little
More
bit like a
offensively.
harass. Yeah, like more like a harass
Okay. All right.
rather than a because like I said, I was sharing farm with Bugna anyway.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Bristleback can't really harass because he's not ranged. So the only way I could really harass was be able to like run in, quill spray a bunch and then run out.
Okay. All right.
Or try to run out.
We'll have to watch
Oh,
it.
listen.
But in
Yep.
general,
Probably not a good choice. I would have been better off just going for the
in
Vanguard.
general, I would actually say like you should challenge yourself to see how long you can delay your boots for.
Okay.
Like see
All right,
how
that's
far
fair.
you can get without building boots. And then once you're like, wow, I'm slow as fuck and I really need boots, then you can go ahead and buy boots. But you should actually kind of build it inverted to how you normally
Okay.
would, right?
Okay.
At least that's the meta right now. The meta is for offlaners is rushing a Vanguard or like a Hood or just getting a fuck ton of bracers, basically is what everyone's doing. Because the whole idea is they're just going to show up in lane and you just can't get rid of them. Just no matter how much you harass them or whatever, you just can't get rid of them. That's what your job is, right?
Right.
So, but if we look at it, obviously, so this doesn't really mean anything because we are deliberately sharing farm with them. And that's God, we've been talking for 10 minutes just about this shit. But
All right.
no, it's okay. Bristleback is really, really a hero where you cannot afford to do that. You need as
Okay.
much net worth as you can get. This is what I'm talking about with the quantitative versus qualitative thing, because it's all about stats, which means gold, right? Which means last hits. So
Because he needs that. Because am I right in thinking that the reason for that is because he's very dependent on items to be actually effective?
yes, he's very dependent
Okay.
on items, and he's actually very dependent on having a level lead. If you
Okay.
fall behind with a bristleback, because remember again, it's about the quantitative. That's what I wanted. Yeah, quantitative numbers. You want big numbers. That means you need higher levels. It means
Okay.
more strength, more armor, more mana, all that crap, right? Higher levels in
Yeah.
your spells because he's very spell dependent.
Yep. That's always going to be a struggle for
And
me.
so
But
what
okay.
the example we were using here was if you compare your stats to Monkey King's stats and your kit, your spells to his kit, right? Usually Monkey King will start with Jingu Mastery, which just rewards him for right clicking a lot, which gives him extra damage and gives him lifesteal, right? So he's got
Hmm.
sustain and harass and damage and kill potential, like all in one spell, and it costs him no mana. Whereas
Oh,
you,
wow.
all of you, the way you're going to get a kill early on is by spamming Quill Spray and maybe Goo at some point, and you only have 243 mana, and you need to stack your spells up for them to do anything. Like just one cast of Quill Spray does nothing, right? It has to be like 8, and then you can kill someone,
Huh.
you know? And it's really indicative because like the way these heroes are designed is like if they actually need something, that's what they're not going to have early on
Okay.
because that's just the way the game is balanced. So you need lots of mana. You don't get that. You get 243 mana. Monkey King, who literally doesn't need to spend mana level 1 generally, has 50% more mana than you. Like it's just
Okay.
it's kind of a slap in the face actually. You get 295 move speed, he gets 300. You get 3 armor, he gets 6 armor. You have 58 damage, he also has 58 damage, but that's with actually building a little bit more stats. So he's going to beat you with just right clicks if you decide to just right click him and not cast any spells, right?
Right. Right. Right.
So
Right.
that's why like the mana management and all that stuff is really important. And also 58 damage is not the highest, it's decent, but it really, higher is like Pudge. Pudge is 76, you know.
Nice. Okay.
Um, crappy
Okay.
supports have 51, 53. CK has freaking 69 damage.
Hmm.
Giggity. Shadow Fiend is very much dependent on last hits, and so because of his necromastery, and so he's punished by not getting good starting stats on his right clicks. Right, so he has 44. Right? This is with items. I don't know the base things, right?
Right.
But anyway,
Okay.
okay. So let's have a look. So we started with Tango's stick. So immediately with the stick, like this is actually a big purchase because it's a third of your
Yeah.
gold, right?
And I thought about it. I wasn't. So let me share with you. I wasn't. Um, I don't know the heroes really that well,
Yeah.
and I wasn't sure if I was going to end up with a hoodwink.
Okay.
If laning against a hoodwink, which would have been throwing stuff at me. So that's where I was. I just didn't know the heroes, so it was kind of like a defensive purchase. Like, okay, I don't really know, but this could probably keep me alive.
Sure. Okay. Well, I would say if you knew that you were laning against the Shadow Demon, it would be a good purchase because generally he's going to get kills on you with Shadow Poison, which has a 2.5-second cooldown, right? So he's
Okay.
actually he's like a ranged bristleback in a way where he does more damage the more stacks he gets on you, right?
So I accidentally bought something that was appropriate.
It is good against the Shadow Demon, but against the CK, I wouldn't prioritize it. Against any of these other heroes, actually, I wouldn't prioritize
Right.
a stick.
Okay.
But yeah. But on the flip side, you could say that it's worth buying a stick, and this is kind of a more modern concept that I've heard, is that if you know you're going to be spamming a lot of spells, it's going to encourage the enemy to buy a stick.
Okay.
Which means, and because you're spamming spells, they're going to have to use their spells to defend themselves, which means you're going to force them to give you charges. So on a hero like Bristleback or Zeus or PA or whatever, like these heroes that are typically countered by a magic stick, it can actually be a good idea to just buy a magic stick yourself.
Okay, kind of baited almost.
Yeah, basically, like you're going to set the tempo by casting lots of spells, and then they're going to respond, and you're going to get stacks too. Stick stacks, right? Charges. But
Right.
in this lane, I would say, yeah, it's fine because they're Shadow Demon.
Okay.
2 mangoes is probably too many. And you got 40 gold left over. So if you could somehow do your purchase so this is mangoes like 70 gold. So instead of the 2 mangoes here, you could have bought 1 mango and like 2 branches.
Okay.
And that would get you up to 60 damage. And then you can plant the branches to eat your tangos. So you effectively have like 5 tangos.
Right.
In a way.
Because they do so much.
Because they double,
more.
right? So, all right, let's have a look. Starting with W is obviously, yep, pretty much necessary unless there's some weird first blood attempt or something.
Right.
And when you start off, your opening moves in the first minute are actually kind of important. So where everybody runs to is important because the supports will do things like this. They'll run up here and they'll try and ward the camp. And so what you can do, you know, and I do this as a safe lane support, I run straight to their camp and I ward it. If I think that I don't want to contest the camp, I'll just run straight here and ward it. So what you can do to help out your own lane and your support is run straight to this camp. And then you just get to visually verify, like, if they're trying to ward it or not. You might scout them and you'd be like if you ran, let's say, for example, let's say Shadow Demon ran over here to do exactly what I'm talking about, and you were already standing here, you can click on and be like, oh, he's got an observer ward and a sentry. And
right.
that doesn't sound like much, but that is actually huge. Like, not at your level, but at a higher level, that is huge because you know, all right, the safe lane support has one of the observers and he has a sentry. Right. So either he can contest one camp, like he can block one or he can unblock the other one or whatever, right? And also he has an observer, which means either mid or the top lane doesn't have an observer ward. And that gives your mid information of where he can go or like what runes might be covered. It also gives your top lane information like, oh, they don't have an observer in this lane, which they didn't, right? Because one ward went here, one ward went here. Yep. Top does not have a ward, which means if Hoodwink's not on top of it, like if she doesn't have this, like let's say this gets unblocked and she's not on top of it, the top lane support, the position 5, can get lots of pulls off because they just don't have information of when that's happening, right?
Okay.
And until, you know, the position 4 Hoodwink like gets good enough to know the timings of when they would want to be pulling. At this level, the ward is going to be more reliable than like her memory, you know?
Okay.
So that's it's the simplest thing of just running here and just like checking his inventory can be like totally game changing, and you're affecting the other lanes just by doing that. Now at this level, Herald, this is magic. They don't. Most 99% of players have no fucking idea like how any of this works. Like for instance, the Phoenix took both the observer wards. Right. This is wrong. But if the Storm sees this, that's really interesting because then he knows like, oh shit, maybe mid and the off lane don't have a ward, right?
Okay.
But they can't use this information generally at this level. This is also weird as hell. Like if you scout this immediately, like he started Tango's magic wand and he has a sentry ward in his bag. That's weird. Where did the sentry ward come from? Did he buy that himself? What the hell is this CK doing? You know, like this is all just interesting information to be taking in, right?
Have I got juice on the chains?
And I think, let me see, I can probably get your player view and see what you were looking at during this whole time, because that's another thing to be looking at, right? Where's your camera and what are you looking at during this whole period?
You know me, nothing.
Yeah.
No.
30 seconds to battle.
I was like, oh, should I go fight with you? No, block camp.
Right.
Don't know how long I'm gonna make it. Don't know how long it'll take me to get back.
So even though there was all that information, like you personally didn't get any of it, right? So that's one thing to do. Like when in these downtimes, right? Like you don't have anything else to do. Click around the map. See what people are doing. See right here. Oh my God, Pudge is out of mana. That's information. That's important, right? Maybe not for your lane, but it is important. Okay, so let's start off immediately. So how does this go?
Denied.
That was good. You got that last hit there. We do pearl spray.
Not on my watch.
This would be where, by the way, if you're learning to play position 4, guys, Pugna needs to check this camp soon because it's a minute. They should have spawned. If he sees that they haven't spawned, he knows Hoodwink is either body blocking it or like put a ward there, right? And so this lane equilibrium cannot be fixed right now because there's no way for him to pull it. And you've got your 6 creeps to 3 creeps. Like this lane's gonna be hard to maintain, right? I got a camera on him. We don't want that. We want Bristleback's camera. There we go. So we're already out of mana. This is too early to be going out of mana. Like, yes, you have the 2 mangoes. I'm assuming you're doing purchases right now. Doesn't look like it.
I was checking to see if that camp had spawned yet.
Well,
I was going to try and pull to try and get the equilibrium back.
Right. So
there's no camp there.
So what you're doing here, and this is you're going to have trouble playing Bristleback, right? You're being a support.
Well, I know. I mean, I know that, but that's because my Pugna wasn't. So rather than like, I felt like the equilibrium is screwed. We're kind of screwed on creep equilibrium. So somebody needs to pull. He's not going to do it. So I opted to, for in the interest of our entire lane.
Yep.
I, ran over to try to pull to try and fix the creep equilibrium.
So,
but again, I completely know that that's not technically my job.
Yeah.
And I was also out of mana, so I'm like, I really can't be down here anyway. So.
Well, you can be down here with no mana. Like, I mean, your mana is not going to save you, right? It's not like you're an AM that doesn't have mana to blink or something like that. Like this is not going to save you. So, at the most, I would say you run over here and you like whenever you get to it, you see, okay, boom, it's not there. That's information. Okay, done. Run back.
Okay, I think what I did was, so watch it for a second, because...
Well, you're not going to find it. It's invisible, right? So this is 10 seconds of just kind of walking back and forth.
Okay, so at this point, I was like, okay. And then I go back into the trees, and I went and bought a sentry, I believe.
So that's fine. And I know, okay, I understand that we've already established that you guys are kind of sharing farm, and that means you're going to like share support duties and stuff like this. But I just want you to look at how many creeps you missed while you were doing this.
Oh no, I appreciate. Please you don't. I mean, I understand. I'm also playing on a team, and I can't. And I completely understand the proper way to play and the way that would make my game go better and set me up to be a larger factor in the game. I also am playing on a team with other people, and part of my job is to do
you know these people?
Almost everybody was on mic. The Pugna was not, but he was typing. He was pretty active in chat.
Okay. Well, I mean, teamwork is fine and all that stuff, but as a core, okay, so if you're the safe lane, the mid lane, or the off lane core, this is literally not your job, right? If you do this job, you are not going to be able to actually do your job. And the Pugna is not going to be able to do your job. You can do his job. He can't do your job. He cannot be the tank that runs in and runs up into, fog and like takes 10,000 damage in a team fight. Like he cannot do that the way you can, right? So by doing this, and I make this mistake too. I did it today when I was playing CK hard carry, and I fucking TP'd to the goddamn shrine to get the bounty rune and then walked to lane. And while I was doing it, I missed 3 creeps. And that's because I'm a support player, and I'm like, shit, someone needs to grab this rune. But that's me being a bad core player. I shouldn't be doing that. I should be going right back to my lane and maximizing my gold. Anybody can go grab that bounty rune. You can't get last hits for me as a Pugna. Like, I got to get my own last hits, right?
So I have a question for you.
Okay.
So at my level, because I am playing in Herald,
and
in general, there's going to be a wide range of skill levels in different mechanics of the game.
Yep.
So there's going to be people who are really, really good at team fighting, but can't last sit to save their life.
Yep.
There's going to be people who know the game about the way I do, but probably play like I do, right? So the question I would ask is, how should I, like, I sometimes will just, because I know my last hitting's not the top of my game at all.
Yep. Okay.
So I will, like, it, in my mind, I was thinking this is not the right thing. But to be honest, if the Pugn is actually better at last hitting than I am, this will actually work out for the best, because it's kind of like working to your strengths. Like,
Yeah.
if all things were even, you're absolutely right. Like, I should be doing this and he shouldn't. But they aren't even, right? So, and we're not playing ranked, so it's not even like we're.
Well, it doesn't matter that we're not
Actually,
playing ranked. So that I hate it when people say that. It's a
Okay.
personal pet peeve of mine when it's like, oh, it's not ranked. It's like, I don't give a shit. Like,
Well,
we're learning how to play good Dota here. Like, you're unranked, like, you shouldn't take it maybe as seriously as ranked, but you should still be like trying to win,
do.
trying to play well. Unless
yeah.
you're like deliberately like, I don't care, I'm gonna fucking go Visage hard carry and rush Daedalus or whatever just for the lols. Like, if you want to deliberately like screw around, that's different.
No.
But if you're trying to get better, then we need to think about like what would be better, and then we need to focus on actually doing it, right? In this case, we've had this discussion before in the past, like when I've coached you before. Bristleback just cannot fill the role of a support. He just does not have the kit to do it. He is entirely dependent on having lots of health, lots of mana, and being tanky. Right?
So keep
the best he could do, a Bristleback support, the best he could do would be max nasal goo and spam it in fights until he's out of mana and hope that gets a kill somewhere, and that's about it. And then
I wasn't, and I was not trying to play Bristleback as a support. All I was doing was playing at my level with somebody else who.
Okay, this is the first thing. So
ultimately, I might
in future don't do that. Okay.
Okay. So in future, if I encounter my lane partner and my lane partner does not do support work,
Yep.
we just don't do support work and lose our lane.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, at this level, also neither support is going to be efficient, right? So, like as a simple example, the Shadow Demon, right? He's trying to do support shit, but he started with Q. He didn't start with Shadow Poison to actually set up a kill. So they've got a double stun lane and then no damage, right? Like he's doing the right thing, like he's putting this on you and harassing with it, which is kind of like the new way of playing Shadow Demon. But here's the thing, right? He blocked the camp with an observer ward.
That's where he blocked it.
He blocked it with an observer ward, which is basically always wrong. He has a sentry and he chose to put the observer ward there instead of the sentry. Right. This is almost always wrong because
so watch what happens when
well let me finish this point, right? So you're asking, if nobody does the support stuff during the lane, don't we automatically lose the lane? And what I'm saying is no, because the other team doesn't know how to fucking support either.
Well, in this particular situation, yes, but
not in this. In like 90% of situations, they don't know how to do this thing. I mean, look at what all the supports did here. Hoodwink is the only one who's actually doing anything, right? He's blocked the camp. He has an extra sentry to secure his own camp, and he's doing a pull while the wave is pushed up. This is probably not perfectly timed, but he is doing a pull. Phoenix, meanwhile, has hoarded all of the observer wards. Which we know is wrong, right? Because Shadow Fiend doesn't have a ward for mid and he's against a Pudge. This is 100% incorrect. Shadow Fiend should have a ward, right? So Phoenix, by playing support but not really knowing how support works, has made the mid lane harder. And he's dealing with a person that actually knows how to play support decently, right? And so this lane is, on paper, this lane should be won by Radiant, right? But it doesn't work out like that. It just
That's
doesn't
fine.
work out like that, because what happens if, these two just go on Storm Spirit right now and they just kill him? Then does this matter at all? It doesn't matter, does it? If they just kill the Storm Spirit, it doesn't matter, right? And that's the thing. So at your level, the more important thing, the most important, the holy grail of how to win your games is net worth at your level, which means
Okay.
getting, and I'm not trying to criticize, right? I understand like these are all Herald players, they don't know the game yet, but I'm using it as an example of like, don't worry too much about the support stuff. Worry about your last hits. Worry about not
All right.
feeding, right?
That's fair. That's fair.
That's you get that first. You get that first, and then you can get into the details of like, okay, this camp needs to be dewarded because I can't get last hits. That's the reason it needs to be dewarded. I can't last hit anymore if the lane is down here all the time. I need to be up here. So maybe I will go spend 50 gold on a sentry to secure my own last hits by dewarding this and doing my own pull. Like maybe, sure, that's fine. But at this level, like we need to be more focused on things like Bristleback cannot afford to share gold with his lane partner. He needs to manage his mana better, and he needs to be getting last hits. And the funny thing is, and this is the other thing why nothing means anything in Herald, is you walked away for like 20 seconds and stood in the camp, and you're still ahead of the CK on last hits. CK has 0 last hits right now. So there are no rules in Herald. There's only trying to play as best you can and trying to learn what proper gaming or proper Dota looks like, right?
Okay.
Also, holy shit, look at this range creep go. Look how fast he is. I love this glitch. I've been seeing this one a lot lately. But anyway, okay, so when did you decide to walk over here, right? So let's have a look. Just to illustrate the point. So, okay, we got 4 creeps here. Like this is all that matters to you right now is how do I get these 4 creeps? Okay? Secondary concern is how do I not let them get the creeps? Right? So let's see what happens while you walk away. We'll say
Are we still focusing on why the last hits that I didn't get?
yes, we are,
Why?
because I want to show it. Because sometimes people don't realize the effects of something unless they're actually like they know they missed last hits, but they don't necessarily translate that into like hard data in their mind. Do you know what I mean?
Gotcha. Okay.
Or they don't link that to being relevant. They just know that, oh, I should be last hitting right now, but they don't see like how important it is. So you're walking away at, let's say, 130. So there's one. And Pugna is getting it, which is, not the worst thing ever, but like he's over here trying to get the last hits. So 3. I don't know if you got that one. Let's see. You're at 2 last hits right now. Okay, so we missed an entire creep wave. And Shadow Demon is pulling, so you're going to miss another creep over here. And that took us 30 seconds, right? So the thing is, like, this efficiency matters. In the first few minutes of what goes on in lane is very, very important, especially on a hero like Bristleback that is all about scaling to be bigger than the opponents, right? Like he needs to be higher level, tankier, whatever, right? Like he needs to have a lead, right? That's why this is so important, because you establish that lead in the first few minutes during the lane phase. That's where the lead comes from. If you lose your lane with Bristleback, it is almost impossible to come back into the game unless you manage to like kill steal someone that's on like a 10 kill streak, right? It's just not gonna happen. So right now, so you've seen that there's no creeps here, so your instinct tells you only fighting is fine. But immediately when you see this, so when you see the range creep come up with no other creeps, your brain should be going, oh shit, where are those creeps, right? There's supposed to be 4 here and there's only 1.
They pulled,
right? So what you should do is, as soon as this creep is dead, you run through the trees and you run straight here, right? Because you know there is nothing else for you to do here. Like, you're not going to kill this tower. The amount of damage you'd put on it would be insignificant. It is more important that you get this XP and this gold. So you should Creep's dead? Okay, now I'm running straight to this camp because I know they pulled because the creeps aren't here, right? And meanwhile, Shadow Demon's doing a good job. All right, cool. He denied 2 creeps there. Maybe 3. I don't know where the other one went. Denied almost a whole wave. Unfortunately, he didn't get the ranged one, but okay, so you're looking for the D ward now. All right, so yeah, okay. So the way you positioned this, so when you want to go for a D ward, and it's very, very important that you D ward the camp, the best advice I can give you is to literally put the sentry in the middle of the camp so that it is guaranteed to find the ward because the sentry can see the entire camp, right?
Won't that also... Oh, because I can then deny the ward. I can
exactly. Because you can deny your...
think about that.
Yeah, because you can deny your own wards, de-warding is super dumb brain. It's hella smooth brain now because you just put it in the camp.
In the middle.
You walk around until you find it, you kill it, and then you deny it. The only, like, finesse to that is timing that. Because if you go for a D-ward at, like, 258, you're not going to be able to deny the ward in time, right?
Right. Well, this is, I mean, my timing wasn't terrible on this.
No, you would probably have time to actually deny the ward and get out of the camp if you were to find it right now.
Yeah.
Your positioning of these sentries, though, is kind of covering the same area. So you got extremely unlucky. Look how close you got to it, right? So if you're going to commit 2 sentries and you don't want to block your own camp, then just make it simple for yourself. Make a Venn diagram and put one on one side and one on the other.
Gotcha. Okay.
Simplest way to do it, right?
Needed. That's what I needed, because that's what I was like, where the heck did they, and I hated the fact that I spent money. I knew that I was like spending money that was not useful and not money that I should be spending.
Yeah.
On that, but I was like, we need that camp. We really need that camp.
Yeah,
because
and you're
I need
right.
it to farm.
You're right.
I need it to farm, and we need it to pull.
You need the camp, yeah, but you do not. The camp is not worth what you're missing and what you're investing to secure it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because you've invested 100 gold, right?
Right.
And we didn't even find it.
Cost.
We didn't even find it, right? So it didn't even pay off.
Cost of not being, the opportunity cost. Got it.
Yeah, it all stacks up, right? It would have been better to just sit in lane and just complain about not having the camp. I mean, not, don't do that, but that would have been probably more productive than trying to fix it yourself. But here's what I would say. When you go for a D ward, just put your sentry in the corner of their camp right here. If you're willing to commit 2, if you're willing to commit 2 sentries, you can just put one right here. It's going to see all the way up to here, and you can put the other one on this corner, and then you see the other half of it. So you make a Venn diagram, but you do it diagonally like this. So you're blocking their camp and dewarding your own camp at the same time. Because some people, when they go to block your camp, they're going to sentry right here, and so the deward on this side will catch that one. Usually, when I block, I put my sentry right here, and then it sees this whole area because people like to put wards here to watch what the support is doing. Sometimes I catch the ward down here, right? Sometimes I catch it over here. Sometimes I catch it up here. Like this one is going to hit their observers. This one is not going to hit observers generally. This one, the way he's done it, he's gotten double value because he can see your camp. But if the Pugna was on top of it, he would see at the 1 minute mark, like, oh shit, this shit is blocked, and he just put a sentry right in the middle. He'd get the gold for killing the observer ward, which would then give his team information that, oh, they're down an observer ward. They can only have 2 for the next, 5 minutes or whatever the hell it is. 2 or 3 minutes, I think it takes for them to respawn. Now they don't have an observer ward on the map. That's super important for information. So if this Pugna knew how to play support, he could have hard punished the Shadow Demon for doing this, right? Anyway, we're just talking about camps now. Let's focus on what we're doing.
My reach exceeds my grasp.
Deny this creep. So this creep's right here. One hit, and you can deny it. Make sure you're getting denies on low health creeps like this, okay?
Okay.
Now, running this far away.
Yeah, that's I'm out of XP range. That was.
Yeah, so the two.
Where was I going?
I don't know. You're probably shopping and you're probably scared. But two things here. Pop your tango immediately because you're missing 300 health, right?
Yep.
Well, almost 280 health. At least if you feel like you can't step up to the wave, at least stay in XP range, and just stay in the trees, right?
Yep.
And, you know, if you're in your situation where you have 8 wand charges and 3 tangos and 95 mana, you can be standing right here and trying to last hit with your quill spray if you feel like it's too scary to walk up and right click it, right?
Okay.
Because again, you know, like look how much we're missing being this far away.
Yeah, I knew right there. I knew I was like, again, I was still trying to pull. I spent so much time. I think that was the lesson.
Yeah.
Is I spent so much time trying to mess with that camp that I just.
Right, and then you go over here and you quill spray twice on this one creep, and that's like that's just ruining your lane as well. So I'd say the main. Oh my god, Pugna's bought one too and not caught it. Oh my god, guys, look at this observer ward. This is the little observer ward that could. This thing is a god, man. No one's killing this motherfucker. He sees all, and you can't see him. It's beautiful. That is the most beautiful observer ward I've ever seen. I'm gonna screenshot that.
That's insane, actually.
Right?
3 observer wards.
Yeah.
None of us found it.
That's so good. And that's simply because that's not because this was an especially like smart placement. That's simply because you guys don't have a good doctrine of how to deward, which is either cover the camp from both ends or just put a sentry right in the middle. Those are the two best solutions, right? Now, obviously, if you know where he's putting the ward, like you watched him put the ward down, which is another reason why we should run straight here, because sometimes you do actually see the ward getting placed, then you can go ahead and you can sentry outside the camp and just kill his ward, and then you don't have to go deny your own ward, and now you're getting extra value out of the sentry ward, right?
Right. That makes sense.
But it's the funny thing is like whenever you're in lane, you guys are winning the lane.
Right.
So, like, you know, you just gotta be in lane more, man. You know, and don't run away from you're running too far back. I would say you're running about twice as far away as you should.
Okay. All right.
This is about the farthest you should go is where the range creep is, because you need to stay in the pocket, right? You're a melee hero. You got to stay close enough to actually last hit this thing. You can't rely on running there all the time to get it. You know?
Okay, that makes sense.
Let's not say you did. Stupendous.
Basically, I started to go over to mess with Shadow Demon, and I realized that
and
had kind of gone on him.
So that your instincts are correct there, right? So if you watch, like, once all these creeps are dead, you should be trying to get this one. By the way, don't give up on this creep. Did you quill spray it? I didn't see. Let me see. Who kills this creep?
Let's not say you did.
Okay, Pugna secures it. But your instinct is correct. There's no more creeps here, right? What's Shadow Demon doing? Is he trying to pull? Is he even here? Did this camp respawn? Whatever, right? Run over here, get information, right? Totally fine. Totally fine to do that.
I saw him there.
But then CK goes on Pugna, which is objectively wrong because he's fighting 3 creeps and you're both standing here. This is stupid of CK to do this. So this is easy punish.
I think we
Stupendous.
actually punish him for it, though.
Yeah.
Try.
Punish him really hard. So now, okay, so this is important, right? So the enemy has made a mistake. So what do you think you can do to punish it now? What would you do? How do you punish the fact that this CK just made a bad decision and lost a ton of health?
Go on. We probably should have gone on Shadow Demon to try it because CK can't really come up and help.
That's true. Yep. Now you can 2v1 the Shadow Demon who's trying to get the Pugna, right? So if you, you know, like, what is this Pugna doing, right? Like, okay, you've established, all right, we can't get the CK, he's too deep, right? But Shadow Demon is standing up here with all the creeps next to him. So what you should do is right-click on Shadow Demon. Just run straight at him. You know, don't, like, this, like, don't high-five him. You know, like, like, punch this guy right in the face. Like, yeah, he should not be two ships in the night crossing each other. Like, this guy needs to lose half his health. Like, being this far up, like, Pugna should be right-clicking him, and you should be clicking on him right now. And this is also why it's important to maintain your mana, because you actually can't punish him right now. You just don't have enough mana, right? So when you're throwing out, like, imagine if instead of cool spraying this creep over here twice, you know, spending 70 mana on that.
Yeah.
Imagine if you had those cool sprays right now. You see how this, like, it's like a butterfly effect, right? Like this all adds up. Because now your ability to punish allows Shadow Demon to walk up here and take 3 damage.
Right.
You know?
Okay.
But what I was going to say is, okay, he's out of healing, right? You can click on him. You say, okay, he's got 3 wand charges. He has lifesteal off this thing, but, you know, he's down to 260 health. Shadow Demon can't give him any tangos. He's going to have to buy a salve or something like that. So what you should do is probably spend this 400 gold that you've been sitting on, finish your bracer, and send out some mangoes so that you can keep pressuring, because he's fucked up. And you can't punish him unless you have mana. So send out a couple mangoes, finish this bracer, right? And keep going, because you're winning the lane right now. And actually, if you look at it, you are winning the lane. Because even though CK has had, like, he's been in the lane the whole time, he has 5 last hits and 1 deny. You have 9 and 1 deny. Even though you spent, like, a minute over here.
I know, I know.
Like, you're actually still ahead of him, right? This is why this shit kind of doesn't mean anything in Herald.
Right.
Because, like, CK should be kicking your ass right now, but he's just not. He doesn't have the skill of last sitting down or whatever. Or Pugna's doing a good job of messing with him. I don't know. But why you're so far away? You're so far away back here, you know? You gotta just stay. Prioritize these creeps. These creeps are all that matter. And I'm harping on it because it's a common thread. This happens in every game I watch. This is what happens, and you gotta fix this. And until you're able to fix it, all your games are gonna look like this. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Where you end up falling behind and you're not sure why. And it's like, well, I did this and this and this. It's like, yeah, you just don't have enough net worth.
See, that's why. So do you see why when you said, like, I shouldn't get goo right there? That's why actually goo worked really well, because I gooed him twice, and that helped Pugna get him low, and then we were able to get the kill.
Yeah.
So if I had not had goo, there's no way that he would have gotten away.
Well, so what I would say is actually no, because if you had put a 3rd point into Quill Spray and you'd been spending, you know, you spend your gold and you get the mana, right? You would have just killed him with your Quill Spray and your boots and just run after him. Even if you got to dive the tower a little bit, like, you could have just run next to him and Quill Spray a lot and he would have died just the same, right? So yes, the goo helped, but like we were talking about, where last hits are more important, it's more important to get your level 2 in Quill Spray, because that's adding 20 to the base damage, right?
Okay.
You know, it's like, why do people buy Quelling Blade? To help them last hit. Why do people get level 2 Quill Spray? To help them last hit. The team fight gank potential of +2 damage per stack is really not relevant. That's dog shit, right? Like 5 Quill Sprays did 10 more damage. Well, let's say 30 more damage because of the base one plus. Well, actually, I'm not thinking about this correctly. Each Quill Spray will do an extra 20 damage, and then the stack damage goes up by 2, which is not very much, but each one is doing 20 damage. So if you Quill Spray them twice, you've done an extra 40 damage. 3 times, 60 damage. Like, so that base damage actually is really important. And as you should look at the scaling on this, because 25 to 45 is nearly double, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
It feels like it's not as good as it used to be, but I could be completely wrong. I mean, it just feels like the stacks are not as strong as they used to be.
I don't know. Maybe the stacks got nerfed, but I mean, even if there weren't stacks on this, right? Like just the base damage literally doubling on your farming slash fighting ability is kind of important, right?
Okay.
So you're going to get more value out of 2 points in quill spray than you are out of like 1 point, doing 1-1-1 build like this. Like really the only time like you're going to end up looking like this is if you also had somebody that did a lot of physical damage in lane or had an armor debuff, say like Dazzle, right? Like
Okay.
if you had a Dazzle and you guys do like nasal goo and poison touch, right? That could be
That's
good.
stacked. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really because now you're stacking your slows and you're reducing his armor, and his ability is doing physical damage, and so that's even more valuable. But like with a Pugna has no CC besides Decrepify, right? And his
Okay.
ability is magical damage, so he can't use the armor debuff as well because it's only his right clicks that are actually doing physical damage, right?
Right. Okay. That makes sense.
Sometimes you'll see people take goo level 1 when they're like going for first blood in the jungle on the runes.
Okay.
But that is a very like specific thing, and I wouldn't even plan on it.
Okay.
Just like
Yeah, it was one of those things I thought about it a lot. Like when I was gonna, because I was like, you've told me before not
Yeah.
to, and I was like, but I was like, well, I felt like we were kind of getting muscle, like we were not really we were not quite winning our lane. We were winning our lane, but not stomping our lane. Like they were doing a lot, and I felt like we were on like a little bit of an edge of we were going to lose this lane. So I was a little. I mean, I wasn't positive.
well, okay, the way this should go, I'm going to just tell you how it should go. The way this should go is you should probably beat the CK in lane eventually.
Okay.
Like if you're being efficient, getting as many last hits as you can, managing your health and your mana, and you're buying the right items, you should be able to eventually muscle the CK out of lane. And
Okay.
Pugna is a really good laner as well. Shadow Demon is all right. It depends on how well the Shadow Demon. It depends on how well the Shadow Demon is played. Honestly, like this is not an easy hero to play, but Shadow Demon can win lanes too. I'd say this is like pretty even lane, but you're the off laner. Like you need to be thinking about like, can I actually win this lane? And if you end up in an off lane where like this lane is unwinnable, that's really bad. And that's usually because your team comp is like totally crap, right?
Okay.
Usually the offlaner should be able to eventually muscle the carry out of lane.
Okay.
Especially a hero like Bristleback, who is all about outscaling people and just man fighting them and just, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
let's smash our stats together and see who wins. And like,
And I will have more stats than you will, so I will win.
because I have repeating stacking abilities, and I like 3 of my abilities stack, which means the longer I stay in the fight, the more dead you are, right? But again, just to highlight it, I mean, look how far away you're running. Look how long you're gone for. Look how much you're missing here, right? So he's dead, great. You know, but kill this catapult. Like, go push. Kill the catapult. You have a catapult here? Kill this catapult and push. You know? Or if you really want to, instead of pushing, run over here and deal with these creeps. But look how long you're gone for.
Well, if you look what am I doing in there?
You're probably shopping, I would guess.
I think I'm big. I've got a clarity going.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. But I would actually still just kind of do what you were just doing a second ago, and like trying to just last hit with your cool spray, and like try to not take damage but still get last hits. But it's a lot. You're losing a lot to try and just get that clarity, right? All right. So I think we got the gist of it, right?
Yep.
So
That's what I needed. That's what I needed.
What are the takeaways then?
So takeaways are don't
Give me 3 bullet points.
Prioritize the the damage for Cool Spray because that's going to get you last hits, where Goo isn't really going to help me last hit very much. It's very situational.
Yep.
So the getting the extra point in Quill Spray would have allowed me to last hit better, and also still have set up kills. So
Yep.
that was my first.
Okay.
The second thing is I needed to probably just not worry about that camp. I mean, in this particular situation, technically it's not my job anyway. And thirdly, I checked it once, didn't I tried to deward it. I needed to probably just give up on it and say, you know what, all right, we're just not going to deal with that right now because it was pulling me out of lane way too much. The paying attention to when the enemy support is pulling, I actually didn't notice that, so that's something that that I think I can pay better attention to, because I knew that the lane was pushed up horribly, but I wasn't necessarily paying attention to what Shadow Demon was doing, and I probably should have, because there may have even been times that we might have been able to kind of mess with him a little bit so that he didn't have quite as free reign over the creeping equilibrium.
Okay.
So that's
the other really important one
is don't run away so fast so far.
Yeah. Stay closer to the creeps. Be ready to last hit them. And denying and all that stuff. There were a lot of things here. There's also your money. You know, you got 600 gold right now. You haven't spent your mana management, like when you Quill Spray. But yes, in a nutshell, I would say we spent too much time worrying about the camp. It's okay to maybe buy us entry and try and do it yourself and check it. But you should be spending, 10 seconds on that. If you don't get it, fuck it. We're done, right? Prioritize the creeps. I don't have time to worry about this because every 30 seconds creeps show up. I got to worry about the creeps, right?
Okay.
And then just managing your resources, making sure you're not like you're Quill Spraying when the Quill Spray is going to do something, like you're trying to get a last hit with it, or you're going for a kill.
Yeah,
That's when you do it.
I've been doing okay with that. That you gave me that guidance before, and I feel like I didn't. There were definitely some places where I didn't do that here, but there were definitely some that I did.
There are definitely some times where you got a last hit with Quill Spray, and that's really good. That's what I want to see. But I want to basically narrow it down to, I almost want to say that's the only time you should be Quill Spraying until you're about like level 3. And now you've got like 3, level 4, level 3. Now you've got like 2 points in Quill Spray. You've got 300 mana. You've gotten some money to buy like a little bit more mana and some stats. Okay, now we can start like maybe actually actively looking for kills. Other than that, it's going to be like incidental. Like I've been getting last hits with my W and my right clicks, and he's sitting there with 3 stacks of Quill Spray on him. Maybe I'll just throw in a few more and just do a ton of harass damage to him. But not my whole mana bar, just like I'll throw in a couple extra to like keep that stack on him and keep him like suppressed. And while he's back there with all the stacks on him because he doesn't want to get more because I could kill him, right? I could start denying his creeps.
Okay.
So it's okay to use it, but you need to be managing and budgeting how much you're going to use it. Because if you're out of mana as Bristleback, you're not a threat, and they don't have to worry about you. And we do not want that. We want to be a threat. So yeah. So yeah, basically that's it. So just like resource management, money, mana, health, stay near the creeps, and that encapsulates all this stuff. And like you mentioned, goo. Like probably don't level goo. Probably get 2 points in Quill Spray instead. And then just like what I do generally is just WE, and then like maybe on level 5 if I feel like it's a lane where I actually could kill the guy, I'll take a point in goo. And then I'll take my Warpath at 6. That's basically it. So yeah, all right. I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, totally. All right. Thank you so much for doing that. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. And thank you for watching, guys. I'm going to start doing more of these in the future. Have a good one. Oh yeah, like and subscribe and check out my Twitch. Bye.